13-year-old Tristyn Bailey had her whole life ahead of her, until it was brutally cut short one night in the woods near her Florida home. Stabbed over 100 times by a teenage boy she thought was a friend, Tristyn's shocking murder stunned her quiet community. The promising young cheerleader became the victim of a crime too horrific to imagine. This is the heartbreaking story of what happened to Tristyn Bailey. Tristyn's early life. Tristyn Bailey came into the world on January 18, 2008, to parents Forrest and Stacy Bailey. The youngest of 5 siblings, Tristyn spent her first 4 years in Singapore before the family moved to St. Johns County, Florida. Growing up, Tristyn's bright smile and kind heart touched everyone she met. Friends and family described her as an energetic, powerful presence who always stood up for others. Her mom, Stacy, said, "She was just a powerful child that was able to give a lot to so many." By age 13, Tristyn was in 7th grade at Patriot Oaks Academy, where she stood out as a popular student and talented cheerleader with an infectious positive attitude. She loved cheering on her school's teams under the Florida sun. At home, she was an amazing sister and daughter who brought joy and laughter. Tristyn spent her free time like any typical teenage girl, making TikTok dance videos, chatting and laughing with friends, and dreaming of the future. No one could have predicted the evil that would soon steal this vibrant young life. Tristyn's story is a reminder that violence can shatter even the most peaceful seeming place, and that unspeakable cruelty sometimes hides behind a familiar face. The fateful night. On Saturday, May 8, 2021, Tristyn was at home, excitedly preparing to celebrate Mother's Day with her family the next day. She went to bed that night, not knowing she would never see her mother again. In the early morning darkness of May 9th, 13-year-old Tristyn snuck out of her house around 1 a.m., lured by text messages from a 14-year-old boy at her school named Aiden Fucci. Unbeknownst to her family, Tristyn left her home to go meet Aiden. A surveillance camera captured chilling footage of Tristyn and Aiden walking together into a wooded area at the end of Saddlestone Drive around 1:15 a.m. It was the last time Tristyn would be seen alive. Less than 2 hours later, just before 3:30 a.m., that same surveillance camera recorded Aiden, alone now, running back out of the woods towards his house. His clothes appeared wet and muddy. Over the next few hours, he texted friends with strange messages, including "Help find Tristyn," and photos of him smiling in the back of a police car. Meanwhile, on Mother's Day morning, Tristyn's family grew worried when she didn't come down for the breakfast celebration. They checked her room and realized she was missing. After searching the nearby area, Tristyn's mom, Stacy, called 911 at 10 a.m. to report her daughter missing. As police and volunteers combed the area looking for the 13-year-old cheerleader, a horrible discovery in the woods would soon shatter their world. The brutal crime scene. Around 6 p.m. on May 9th, a community resident out walking made a grim discovery near a retention pond in the woods at the end of Saddlestone Drive. A young girl's lifeless body lay on the ground, covered in blood and stab wounds. By 8 p.m., it was confirmed the body belonged to missing 13-year-old Tristyn Bailey. The crime scene told a horrific story of a frenzied knife attack on an innocent child. Tristyn had been stabbed a staggering 114 times all over her body, head and hands. 49 of the wounds were defensive, showing how desperately Tristyn fought back against her assailant. The medical examiner determined the cause of death to be the sheer blood loss from the volume of sharp force trauma. It was a killing of unimaginable brutality and violence, with many of the stab wounds penetrating deep into bone. Tristyn's young body was ravaged by slash marks, punctures, and gaping wounds from the relentless onslaught. In addition, 2 haunting clues hinted at the killer's dark mindset. The word karma was found scrawled on Tristyn's left ankle, and a smiley face was drawn on her right ankle. Chillingly, her body had been posed after the stabbing frenzy ended. This was the work of a calculated, merciless killer who felt no remorse. As police processed the disturbing scene, they found a key piece of evidence submerged in the retention pond, a blood-stained buck knife with a broken-off tip. The knife tip was later recovered from Tristyn's scalp. This knife would directly tie the crime to 14-year-old Aiden Fucci. The investigation. While searching for Tristyn, police visited Aiden Fucci's home to ask what he knew. Aiden claimed he had been with Tristyn the night before and that they got into an argument in the woods. He said he pushed her and she fell and hit her head. Then he walked away. However, police weren't buying Aiden's story, especially once the surveillance video and the state of Tristyn's body was revealed. Aiden's strange social media posts about looking for Tristyn while in a cop car also signaled something more sinister. The morning after the murder, deputies searched Aiden's home. In his bedroom, they found a knife sheath that matched the murder weapon. Blood-stained clothes belonging to Aiden were also collected. Around 3 a.m., based on the evidence, Aiden Fucci was arrested for Tristyn's murder. The charge would later be increased to first-degree premeditated murder. As investigators dug into Aiden's background, disturbing red flags quickly emerged. Friends and classmates revealed Aiden had a long-time fascination with knives, violence, and death. He carried knives regularly and even named them. Perhaps most chillingly, Aiden frequently talked about wanting to experience what killing someone felt like. Aiden's ex-girlfriend Sophie Bauman recounted times Aiden would pretend to stab her with his pocket knife and detailed him telling her about violent voices in his head, urging him to kill when angry. All the signs pointed to a killer in the making. Tragically, these warning signs weren't heeded in time to save Tristyn's life. In the end, the mountain of forensic evidence against Aiden Fucci for Tristyn's brutal murder was undeniable. The blood-stained knife tied his DNA to the murder weapon. The video of them entering the woods together. Aiden's bloody clothes and the matching knife sheath in his bedroom. His own statements putting himself at the scene. There was no doubt he viciously stabbed Tristyn to death in the woods that night. For Tristyn's shattered family, who lost their shining light in the most unthinkable way, the question of why haunts them. What could make a 14-year-old boy unleash such monstrous violence on a friend? Tristyn's siblings cried remembering her as the best sister and spoke of her forever unfulfilled potential. Theories on motive. We may never fully understand the motive behind such a senseless act, but experts have theories. Some suggest Aiden Fucci may have developed an unhealthy fixation on Tristyn that turned deadly when she rejected his desired sexual advances that night. Others point to Aiden's long-held obsession with violence and death. Perhaps he finally acted on his depraved fantasy of experiencing murder. The sheer number of stab wounds, 114 in total, indicate an explosive release of rage and savagery once the stabbing began. In the end, trying to rationalize an act of pure evil is impossible. There can be no justification for slaughtering an innocent 13-year-old girl who trusted the wrong person. Aiden's lack of true remorse, posing her body, and boasting to friends after the murder show how profoundly sinister his psyche is. The legal case. Once arrested, 14-year-old Aiden Fucci was charged as an adult with first-degree murder due to the brutality of the crime. He was held without bond under close watch as he awaited trial. If convicted, Aiden faced up to life in prison. Aiden's mother, Crystal Smith, was also arrested for tampering with evidence after home surveillance video allegedly showed her washing or scrubbing a pair of blue jeans in a bathroom sink at their residence. According to the arrest affidavit, the jeans and the bathroom sink drain tested positive for the presence of blood. Investigators said an unidentified witness was involved in the case against Crystal Smith. She was later released while awaiting further legal proceedings. For nearly 2 years, Aiden maintained his innocence, forcing Tristyn's family to endure drawn-out legal proceedings. All the while, evidence mounted of his guilt. Then, in a surprise move in February 2023, Aiden changed his plea to guilty as charged just before jury selection was to begin. At the contentious sentencing hearing, Tristyn's loved ones finally confronted her unrepentant killer. With heart-wrenching victim impact statements, they made Aiden face the immense loss and grief his savagery caused. Alexis Bailey dropped 114 aqua pebbles, one by one, into a glass jar, each representing a stab wound her sister suffered. Prosecutors pushed for a maximum sentence to ensure the dangerous teen killer could never walk free to hurt anyone else. Aiden himself remained largely stoic and unemotional, facing the people whose lives he destroyed. At age 16, Aiden was sentenced to life in prison for the first-degree murder of Tristyn Bailey. He will be eligible for review after 25 years served. The judge called this the most difficult and shocking case of his career, noting the stark lack of any true motive besides the desire to brutally take a life. No greed, no revenge, no passionate rage. Just a killer's urge to feel the sensation of snuffing out a bright light. Impact on the community. The brutal murder of 13-year-old Tristyn Bailey sent shockwaves of fear and grief through her tight-knit Florida community. Parents hugged their kids tighter, and students struggled to accept that the killer walked among them every day at school. Neighbors tied teal ribbons around trees in honor of Tristyn's favorite color. Friends gathered at makeshift memorials to lay flowers and remember the smiling girl who always lifted others' spirits. Tristyn's cheer team retired her number 28 jersey for the rest of the season. Yet the pain ran deepest for Tristyn's heartbroken family, who had to learn to live without their precious daughter and sister. They described her as a firefly, whose flame of potential was cruelly snuffed out forever by a remorseless killer. Birthdays, graduations, holidays, Tristyn will never be there beside them again. As a community, many are left to wonder if more could have been done to prevent this horrific slaying. Why didn't Aiden Fucci receive intervention for his long-standing obsession with violence and knives? How do we keep our kids safe when killers hide in plain sight in our schools and neighborhoods? There are no easy answers, but Tristyn's senseless death sparked important conversations about being alert to warning signs in teens and taking threats seriously. Stopping killers before they act is the only way to prevent more lives from being stolen. In the end, Tristyn Bailey's legacy will be one of light, love, and joy. Her family started a foundation in her name to empower other young cheerleaders to soar after their dreams, the dreams Tristyn will never get to fulfill herself. They hope to create a culture of kindness and watching out for others in her honor. While Tristyn's story ends in tragedy, there is still hope that people will learn from it. We must fight for a world where no more innocent children become victims of senseless violence, where those who fantasize about brutality are stopped before they strike, where the beauty of a smiling 13-year-old girl is treasured and protected. Let us never forget Tristyn Bailey, and let her light shine on through the darkness as a reminder of the good we must preserve. The battle against evil continues, and it's a battle we cannot afford to lose. This was Agent Magpie. And remember guys, be good. And if you can't be good, be careful.